The Chesapeake Bay, the crown jewel of coastal Virginia, has been utilized as a passageway since the arrival of Native Americans. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel connects Virginia Beach to the eastern shore of Virginia. However, the bridge tunnel was not open to traffic until 1964. Prior to the bridge tunnel, the only way across the bay was by ferry boat. This is the story of the Virginia Ferry Corporation, the reason the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel was built. The Princess Anne was built by Pusey and Jones Shipyard in Wilmington, Delaware, and launched in 1936 to become the flagship of the Virginia Ferry Corporation later that year. Designed by Raymond Loewy and George Sharp, the Princess Anne was one of the most advanced ferry boats of her time and drew international attention for her modern design. In March of 1941, the Princess Anne lost her flagship designation to the Pocahontas. In 1954, the Princess Anne was lengthened to 350 feet to accommodate more cars and trucks to handle the increase in traffic. When the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel opened in 1963, ending the ferry service across the bay, the Princess Anne was sold to the Delaware River and Bay Authority and refitted for use on the Cape May Lewis ferry service. Her name was then changed to the New Jersey. She sailed across the Delaware Bay until 1973, when she was sold to the Moscone Transport and Ferry Service for a proposed crossing between Greenport, New York and New London, Connecticut, and was renamed the Greenport. In 1982, the Greenport was sold to the Bridgeport and Port Jefferson Steamboat Company. She was then put in dry dock at Robert E. Director's Shipyard in Middleton, Rhode Island for engine upgrades when her hull was seriously damaged. She was considered a total loss, and the shipyard took possession of the vessel. She was then used as a floating warehouse on the car deck and for offices on the upper levels. In 1992, Palm Beach County, Florida purchased the Princess Anne for use as an artificial reef off their coast.
I was captain on the Philadelphia pilot boat off Delaware Capes. The mate I had on watch with me, he'd heard on the radio during his watch that one of the ferries was going to be sunk down off Palm Beach, Florida. So when I come up on watch, he told me just what I told you. And he said, Captain, he said, I wrote the phone number down and put in the log drawer there. And as time went by, one day I wasn't busy, so I got the phone number out and called it. It was a guy named John Vaughn. He was head of environmental control for Palm Beach County. So I said, I understand that the ferry Princess Anne is going to be sunk off Palm Beach. Yes, sir, that's right. He said she's going to be sunk 2 weeks from now. I said, okay, thank you. I hang up. About 2 weeks had gone by. I called him again. He said, no. He said, the Lloyds of London will not insure the vessel for the North Atlantic during the winter months. So he said it'll be next spring. Like I say, I had feeling for that boat, like a person. And I having the feeling real strong this one day in May. So I called John Vaughn again. Well, John Vaughn don't know if I'm the FBI, environmental control or what, you know. So I said, well, when is Princess Anne going to be sank? He said she'll be leaving Middleford, Rhode Island tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. I said, is she going to be on her own power or being towed? He said, no, she's going to be towed. He said the tug Mary Ann will tow her. Now then, by the way, what's your concern with this boat? He said, you've called me several times. I said, well, Captain, I said, I started out in April 1950 as ordinary seaman with that company. And when I left the Princess Anne, or which she was named in New Jersey, I said I left her March 1st, 1971. I said I was captain of her. Oh, so now then, he started shooting questions at me. Well, she was a coal burner, right? I said, oh, no. She burned a cheap grade of crude. I said, they call it bunker C. I said, they superheated it before it went to the burners, to the boilers. I said, that stuff was almost like tar. Well, what was her fuel capacity? Where were the fuel tanks located? And numerous things he wanted to know. Well, there was a lot of it I did not know, but I knew people that did know. I said, well, let me get with some of my friends. I said, I'll call you back. So anyway, I called him back with what he wanted to know. I was at work. I worked a week on, a week off. My wife, she calls me. She said, John Vaughan has called and wants you and I down in Florida for the sinking of the Princess Anne. I said, Bull, I'm not riding down there. She said, honey, I think you really should go. I said, well, I don't particularly want to go. I said, do you want to go? Oh, yes. I said, well, I'm going to get somebody to pick up the rest of my watches for the week. Because we only had like 3 days before she was supposed to be sank. Well, she said, you want some good news? I said, yeah. She said, the Holiday Inn over on Singer Island, which is offshore island like Assateague, Shingateague, but it's all high rises over there. The Holiday Inn has granted us a room for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's on the ocean front. And you'll be able to see the Princess Anne as they're towing her in. So anyway, I said, well, you have the car packed when I get home this evening. I said, we'll take off. So I got somebody to pick up my watches, and away we went. Spent the first night on the road and got down there on a Friday evening. She was supposed to be sunk on Saturday, but they got hung up in a pretty heavy weather up off of North Carolina there, off of Cape Hatteras. My wife and I went down to the inlet when they were towing her in there that Saturday. Well, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. Pitiful sight. The pilot house was gone. All of her after house was pretty well cut off. All our lifeboat davits. Her bridge wings were still on, but the pilot house was gone. The catch of the free room was I had to talk to the media at a time that they wanted information. I said, well, that's no problem with me because I'm talking to people all around the world every day. So when we got down there, I called John Vaughan. I didn't know we were in town. So he let me know she wasn't going to be sunk on Saturday, but it would be Sunday. And he said, you and your wife, it's space on the press boat for you two. I said, okay, fine. I said, what time? He said 8 o'clock Sunday morning. The name of the boat was the Blue Heron. She was a head boat, 79 foot long, nice, well-built steel hull boat. After people found out that we were there at the hotel, I went down in the bar gonna sit there and have a couple drinks. I couldn't spend a penny. It was dive teams down there that was just waiting for her to get on the bottom. And I mean, you would have thought I was King Tut or something. On Saturday afternoon, John Vaughn called me and said, I want you down on the boat. I said, it was Channel 5. They want to talk to you. I said, okay. So went down, and I could see the Princess Anne tied up. She was right at the dock where the passenger ships tie up when they come in there. So we go down and went aboard the boat. And John Vaughn and his wife Kathy were there, and they introduced me to the news media. And they wanted to go over the boat. So there was a lot of places that was restricted because they had cut so much of her up. I tell you, I almost busted out crying when I seen her the first time. So I took them all over the boat. So I didn't go in the engine room, but her engines were still in her. I don't know why they didn't take him out. Anyway, on Sunday morning we were down there, got aboard the boat, the Blue Heron, and the tug had done pulled her on off. And it was a pretty heavy southeast swell running in there that morning. I would judge 8 to 10 feet. And after we got out there, just laying to, because when they dropped the anchor, when they got her in position where they wanted her, when they dropped the anchor chain snapped. The Princess Anne took off like she was rung up on a half bell with that southeast wind. She fell right around, and I mean, she dug out. That tugboat chased her down, and they finally got a line on her and pulled her back off, but they didn't get her where they wanted her. But anyway, 70 pounds of dynamite, I reckon, they placed along her keel, and we watched her go. But just about everybody on that head boat was sick, other than my wife and me and the crew, I believe. So there was a lot of them that was glad to get their feet back on the dock. So that was about the end of that. And well, my camcorder, just as the Princess Anne was going down, if it would have lasted 3 or 4 more minutes, she'd have been out of sight. But anyway, We were up in the hotel room, and the news come on, and I got the rest of her going down off the TV screen.
Today, the Princess Anne rests on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, less than 2 miles off Palm Beach Inlet. One of the largest artificial reefs created for Palm Beach County, the Princess Anne draws a large number of divers who explore her interior. Because spadefish, sharks, barracudas, and orange bass are attracted to the artificial reef, many fishermen flock to her location. For 46 years, the Princess Anne took travelers on cruises across the bays of the East Coast. Today, she provides safe harbor for fish and great sport for divers and fishermen alike.